Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is R. Muldrake, aka Kurt, and thank you for joining me. I am covering this season of Westworld, Season 4, and this is Episode 7, Metanoia, the penultimate episode of the season, potentially series. So yeah, this episode, I'm not going to deny that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would, if I was giving it a rating out of 10, I'd probably say a good 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's one of these stories that I'm going to struggle, I think, to talk about this week. I think there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of chess pieces being moved off the board to distill it down to the series finale, and it's done a good job in giving us an idea of what the story might be without actually giving us any inclination about which way they're going to go. And I think that's good for Westworld, and I like the way that Westworld do that. So we just have no idea what's going to happen next week. Also, given that we don't know if there is going to be a season 5, I believe I have seen somewhere that I think Ed Harris has said potentially there might be. But looking at the figures, we're not entirely sure on that. So this could be acting as a series finale. That does make me feel a little bit anxious. I do believe that the way that Westworld is written, that we will get a conclusion. And if anything, the end of this episode, if it was slightly rewritten, would be good for me to have a conclusion that we'd be left with the abstract nature of the world, and for us to theorize for years to come. But we have got another episode, and that's for next week. Taking away the likes of Maeve and Hale, we've seen Maeve die about 15 times now, 20 times. It doesn't have the emotional impact, but I don't think it's designed to. I think the story of William is one of the main factors in this episode, with speaking to the OG William, and him himself investing a cockroach life-like element into our host version of William. Over the last couple of episodes, I have had in my mind just a brief kind of feeling about how William is portrayed in the jail cell. Because we started off with the whole ice and snow ice and dry ice and things. And as the episodes have gone on, he's been thawing out. And I think that is a really interesting thematic use of William. And I think it was done to great effect. And if you notice that in his suit, the suit was LEDs and were spreading all over his body. And when we get to see it in this, we see that there's condensation on the windows, and there's hardly any movement at all of those LEDs. And then we get this cockroach analogy, especially given the post-COVID world that COVID world we're living in right now. The very nature of the virus that I know that Hale mentioned, that William has infected the other William. And I did think we might get a redemption story, but it doesn't look like we're going down that route. As with the Men in Black being back at the end with the David Bowie song, and I thought that was telling, and the way the imagery was done at the end as well with the darkness, I thought that worked really well. I think taking Hex of Hale and Maeve off the board and leaving us with the strand of the William, the Dolores, Christina and Teddy, and the Caleb, Stubbs and Frankie storylines to move into the next episode is good. I think that does well to kind of eliminate the stuff. Well, there's plenty of questions still to be answered, and I'm sure that likes of Hale and Maeve, that they probably won't be done. We've got, in this episode, we've got some fake outs in the Sublime where Bernard was going through his permutations. That was a good kind of out that they'll use a lot, and narrative choices that I've mentioned before in the past. With those, that's why you can never feel the emotional weight of that. Whereas I did feel the emotional weight with Caleb and Frankie's rejoining as such. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, other than that, Bernard has some vital information to say about taking his left hand out. Who he was talking to there, we will probably find out next week. Whether it will be, was it Teddy? Have we seen things that we're not aware of? Clementine still around, so we might see some interesting developments in that. It might be a bit of a twist and a bit of a shock, so we'll see what happens there. Christina being reborn in the bathtub was a great scene as well. She doesn't feel at one with the world. The world is maneuvering around her. Just when she gets grasp of it, and it slips through her fingers again once William enacts his fight and fight reflex for the world. Christina is in that no one sees her mode, and that's a good place for her to be in. It does ask questions about questioning the nature of our reality in regarding to Christina. So again, that opens up a little bit of time to theorize on stuff. Teddy being a version of Dolores, Hale being a version of Dolores, I think is a really good trope, and I think it is good to see what people could become depending on their nature. And again, the callbacks to season 1 were always good as well. But yeah, some good scenes as well, some good fight scenes. The Hale and Maeve fight scene was good. Nothing outstanding, but I did think it was good. And I did enjoy Bernard and Maeve talking about their daughter, and that's been left in the open a little bit. So speaking about Maeve just being killed there, are we going to have some sort of resolution to that, or is that going to be left hanging as well? And I think that generally towards the end of episodes or end of seasons, that they do become more action packed, and they do become it does become more of a chess game, and some of the themes get dropped. You often get the penultimate episode, or like Caleb's episode last week, where you'll get an emotional resonance one, and they try and pack away some things so they can focus on where they're going. And it'll be interesting to see where we land. Come and join me next week, and we shall talk about the finale.